Are you thinking of moving to Charlotte? Well, the process of buying a home here can be daunting, but with the right agent and lender backing you up, it can go quite smoothly. So tune into this video so you can learn all about what buying a home in Charlotte will look like for you. Whether you're moving here from New York, California, or Florida, just to name a few of the most popular places our buyers move from, you'll want to make sure you know these steps to buying a home in Charlotte, North Carolina. All right, buying a home. It's a pretty big deal, and this process can be scary with a lot of steps. But if it's done the right way and in the correct order, finding your perfect home doesn't have to be the headache that it's made out to be. So let's break this into 3 parts. What you need to do before you buy, what you need to do when you actually find the home you want to buy, and what you need to do in order to close. The first step, getting pre-approved. Not only will this save you a step down the road, but most sellers will require this before showings and before accepting offers. So what is the importance of getting pre-approved? You need to know what owning a home will look like financially, and every party involved will need to know this as well. What will your down payment be? What will your monthly mortgage payment be every month, or the HOA dues? Things like that. It is common to get taken aback by all of the fees involved with the down payment alone, but you need to know that you can afford this and not have any unpleasant financial surprises along the way. It will make the process much easier and it will make it way more seamless. Every bank and mortgage lender can provide you a pre-approval, which typically lasts for 3 or 4 months. This is always important to have just so that you are prepared. Obviously, like we said, so you know financially what you're looking at, but also just so that when you find that perfect house on a Sunday afternoon and it has multiple offers and you need to get an offer in quickly, you don't feel like you're scrambling and flustered trying to get approved before submitting an offer on a home. There's also no harm in getting pre-approved with multiple lenders because the credit bureaus understand that if your credit gets pulled a couple times by mortgage brokers for a mortgage, that you typically are not going to be getting multiple mortgages at the same time. That way, the benefit is you don't get hit on your credit like you would think that you would by doing something like this. It's also just good to have the pre-approval so that you have the lender working with you before you submit any offers. It's helpful to have a line of communication that is open with your agent and your lender, even if it's for something that seems as silly as just asking them a question about your finances or about something that you're potentially about to buy. All of these things are why it is important just to have the pre-approval and to have the lender working in your corner. A great example is that every lender says not to buy a car while you're under contract on a home. However, if your debt to income ratio is not impacted or not impacted much, then there's no harm in buying a car while you're under contract. A major thing that you need to think about though, being that you must ask the lender before you just go and do it. Too many people will go buy a car or go buy tons of furniture while they're under contract on a home, not realizing that that will impact their debt to income ratio significantly enough that they may lose their qualification for the home that they're purchasing. Speaking of the down payment, let's dive a little deeper into that for a moment. It's important to think about what down payment you are comfortable with. This will include due diligence, earnest money, closing costs, etc. It used to be that 20% was the typical down payment, but these days it doesn't always need to be that much. You can put down 10% sometimes and use that extra money on furniture or upgrades and refinishing aspects of the home. So instead of thinking in terms of down payment, we tell our buyers to think about the total cash they're comfortable spending at closing. Then we can back out fees and closing costs, which can vary depending on the type of loan you get and the price of the home that you're purchasing. That will leave you with what you have comfortably left for your down payment. And like I said, it has always been a historical myth that you need 20% for a down payment. And you cannot buy a house until you have 20% that you can put down for a home. So many Americans would sit around and try and save money until they finally hit 20% of the home that they think they want to buy, not realizing that by the time they can get 20% saved, that the home price of the actual home that they would want has gone up significantly. So nowadays, it is way more common to see home buyers putting 5 or 10% down and having a small amount of private mortgage insurance or commonly known as PMI. This is also where it's important to have a good lender, because even if you have PMI, it might not be a bad thing. So let's use a quick example and say you're buying a $500,000 home. If you put 20% down, that's $100,000. But if you put down 10%, that's $50,000. And let's just say, hypothetically, with that $50,000 or with that 10% down payment, you have a PMI of $75 a month. So for $50,000, in order to break even on doing that for $75 a month with PMI, you'd have to live in the house for 55 years. So sometimes it's actually more effective to put a smaller down payment down and have a small amount of PMI in order to not put all of your cash into the property. Now, the caveat to that is that if you need your payments to be at a certain level, then chances are you will have to put more money down for your down payment. And one more tip regarding the pre-approval phase: find a lender who can send you up-to-date estimates at any time. This will really help you narrow in on what price range you can afford so that you can streamline the process and reduce the amount of surprises to your wallet. It's good to go into this process overestimating what you might owe rather than underestimating for obvious reasons. Next up, you need to find the right agent, and I might know a guy. But honestly, this step is huge because you will want to find someone who you like working with, who communicates well with you and all of the other parties that are involved, and someone who will advocate for you and not just try and push you into any home that's available within your budget. A good agent will learn your must-haves and your nice-to-haves. They'll curate your home viewing experience and get you into the home that suits your needs. And if while you're under contract, the seller, or let's say the builder, if you're buying new construction, if they aren't budging on repairs or specific issues, you need someone in your corner. You need someone who will advocate for you and push for you. The right agent will help set you up very well for the fun part and the not so fun parts of the home buying process. When it comes to finding an agent, you obviously need to think about all of these things, but the biggest thing is making sure that you like them, you trust them, and you think they're credible. That's a big reason as to why I have always wanted to make sure that my sphere and my friend group knows that I'm out there working constantly to grow my business, to learn about the industry and the market, and to be able to help serve them the best that I can when they end up having real estate needs. Our team has taken a lot of pride in making sure that we match our motivation with our clients. And we always tell our buyers that we don't care what they buy or when they buy, but that we are here to make sure that we can help them buy the right house for them at the right time for them. The key is that it's all about the buyer and not about us. All these steps combined are going to set you up for success. They're going to make it possible so that once you find the right home, you are ready to take action, put in offers, and give yourself the best chance of getting the home that you want. It's important to note, be patient with this process. A home isn't always going to go up for sale every day. And sometimes when they do, they're not always going to be right for you. There are many amazing neighborhoods in Charlotte, from Ballantyne to Plaza Midwood, or even South Park to South End. If you're curious about some of these neighborhoods, we have a great video comparing South Park and South End, two of the most popular places to move in Charlotte. That video is right here on this channel, so take your time. You've put yourself in a great place by taking these steps so far, and the right home will show up. One thing that a lot of our buyers reach out about is they want a specific house in a specific neighborhood that they've heard about. Many times, their dream home isn't available, but myself and my team take drastic measures to make those dreams come true. After so many of these requests, I personally invested in one of the most high-tech artificial intelligence tools to fulfill your needs. It finds houses based on your search criteria, the needs and wants that you have, and it matches specific homeowners who are willing to sell their home. If it's the perfect house for you, do you have to buy it? No, but this is just one tool that sets our team apart from everyone else in Charlotte, and we're happy to explain more about this tool when you give us a call. And before we continue, I want to give you all a warm welcome to the Living in Charlotte channel. We're here with the top relocation team in Charlotte, and we give the best videos about moving to Charlotte. Make sure you take notes and don't be afraid to pause the video as you go. So, you've gotten the right lender and agent, you've searched, and you've found a home that is perfect for you. Now what? It's time to review the documents. There can be a few, so stick with me. First, the disclosures. There's going to be property disclosure, mineral oil and gas disclosure, sometimes one for lead-based paint, depending on the age of the home, and possibly an HOA disclosure depending on the neighborhood. Then you will review the terms in the offer. This will include things such as the purchase price, earnest money deposit, closing date, seller credit, seller leaseback, appraisal addendum, due diligence period. Now, a quick note on due diligence. This is a non-refundable deposit given to the seller upon going under contract. You get this credited back at closing. However, if for any reason you walk away after this deposit is given, you forfeit those funds. I want to make this very clear. You lose that deposit if you walk away. Why would you walk away? There are a few common reasons, which could be the appraisal comes back really low, or maybe you're not able to negotiate repairs on a bad inspection. Some things to be aware of. And that's where a good agent will be able to come into play and help you out. In North Carolina, one of the biggest differences from most states is that every home is sold as is. That means there is no passing or failing of inspections here in the entire state. Now, as scary as that may sound, it is customary for our buyers to still conduct an inspection and request repairs or credit in lieu of repairs from a seller. But just because you are offering on a 100-year-old home and it has old electrical in there and you didn't think is safe, or maybe there's structural issues, doesn't mean the seller is actually going to be required to fix anything. There could be active termites. There could be major plumbing issues. There could be a tree limb coming into the home through the roof, and the roof is open to the elements, and a seller still doesn't actually have to fix anything. Now, if you were to walk away, the seller will have to disclose any of these issues that are material fact that they now know about to future buyers. So that is some of the leverage that home buyers have when they are in contract negotiations and trying to negotiate for repairs. Historically, before COVID, the offers would be written in a way that would be a relatively small due diligence fee and a really large earnest money deposit, which would mean that the expiration of the due diligence period carried a lot of weight. Because at that point, when the due diligence period expires, that is when the earnest money becomes non-refundable. And up until COVID, that was a huge piece of the transaction. And those numbers have since flipped. And the due diligence fee is usually significantly larger than the earnest money deposit now. It is a way for buyers to show sellers that they are willing to risk a lot of their own money in order for the seller to take the home off the market for the buyer to be able to purchase it. It used to be where 1% of the purchase price on due diligence and earnest money, maybe 2% for a strong offer is something you'd see, but now we're starting to see upwards of 5% in due diligence fees for the ultra competitive offer situations. Shoot, I've seen 6-figure due diligence offers. So just be ready for that, especially if you're moving from another state, in a state that handles real estate transactions differently, because this is going to be a major change for you. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Andy Griesinger. My team and I get calls, texts, emails, and DMs from people like you every day who are looking to move here. So if you're looking to make a move next week, next month, or next year, we would absolutely love to help you. So give us a call, shoot us a text, or send an email to make your dreams of living in Charlotte a reality. And if this is your first time here and you want to know everything about living in Charlotte, then subscribe and tap that bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market updates in Charlotte, North Carolina. So now you are getting closer to closing. Here's what you're going to need to do. Once the offer is accepted, you'll first need to celebrate a little bit. That's a huge step in this process. And in the last few years, actually getting a home under contract against some of the stiff competition was one of the hardest parts of the entire process. The first step from there is you will write the due diligence check to the sellers and the earnest money check to the closing attorney. Then you schedule the inspection. Well, our team will schedule it for you. And typically the lender will simultaneously order the appraisal. We're gonna get a third-party inspector, and for new construction, do an inspection for pre-drywall, and then again when you're ready for closing. Now, we do have vendors that we know and trust that we'll recommend to you. These vendors do multiple home inspections a day and really know the ins and outs of homes in Charlotte. But if you have vendors that you typically like to work with, then you're free to go with them as well. You can start negotiating repairs with the sellers. The question comes up all the time, should you get an agent for new construction? And the answer is absolutely. It can be confusing, and if a builder is trying to push your closing a lot or makes a lot of mistakes on the construction, whether it's laying down the wrong flooring or putting in the wrong countertops, you need someone who can advocate for you. Because at the end of the day, as nice as that builder representative and sales rep is, they work for the builder and not for you. Now, as the due diligence period is getting ready to end, you want to make sure that you've finished the inspection, you've gotten the appraisal back, you've negotiated any repairs that you may need to negotiate. And like we've talked about before, when you're negotiating those repairs, you can either ask for specific repairs to be done, or you can ask for credit in lieu of repairs. And just because you ask for a $10,000 credit to fix the roof doesn't mean you necessarily have to 100% use that money for the roof. If a seller gives you a $10,000 credit, you can use that for whatever you need it for. But the idea is, if there's a major issue on something that you found in the inspection, you can get a credit for that to repair it yourself once you take ownership of the home. When the due diligence period ends, the attorney will send out closing disclosures, which will show you what you owe at closing. Then they send the wiring instructions. So make sure to bring your driver's license when you go to the closing attorney's office, as well as a blank check just in case. It's also important to note, and this might be obvious to most of you, but do not buy big ticket items during this time frame. Your boat or your new car or pretty much anything that you will need to run your credit on in order to purchase will have to wait until after you are sitting on your couch in your new home, watching a Charlotte FC game or doing whatever you may do. While you are in escrow, do not purchase big ticket items. Plain and simple. This may seem like a lot, but with the right team, the process can be seamless. You will be able to tell when an agent is just trying to push you into the first available home, or when they're truly looking out for your best interests, because they've learned what it is that you are looking for in your new home. You won't hurt our feelings if you don't like a home that we show you. It's not my home. We want to make sure that we get you the best possible outcome, which is why finding the right agent is so important. Taking these steps in the right order will minimize headaches or any unpleasant surprises. Maybe not all of them, but most of the unpleasant surprises. And it will maximize your ability to find what you're looking for in the most cost-effective manner as well. So, did this step-by-step process scare you off? No? Good. Because one of the reasons why we are the #1 relocation team in Charlotte, North Carolina, is that we love it when people reach out to us. We make a full plan for your visit and make it as effective and efficient as possible so that you can see for yourself if this city is right for you. And I know I might be a little biased, but I think it will be. So what we'll do is schedule a call with you, hop on Zoom, and pull up a map so we can go over all of the areas that may suit your needs, down to the specific neighborhoods and streets that may work, while crossing off the list areas that simply won't be a fit based on your needs. Our contact information is in the description below, so be sure to copy that down. Get our email and our phone number so that you can text us or email us to schedule a call. That way we can all hop on Zoom and develop a plan for you. These are the little things that I knew nothing about before moving to Charlotte 10 years ago, and that you likely wouldn't have known about either. We'll also explain what to expect with the home buying process in Charlotte and how it may differ from your current home city. Speaking of buying in Charlotte, go check out our pros and cons video for some great insights to our wonderful city. So if you're ready to explore everything that Charlotte has to offer and possibly even move here in the near future, be sure to check out our other videos and drop a comment on this video regarding any questions you may have about this process. We're always sharing new tips about Charlotte and our real estate market, and we would love to help you find your perfect home in this amazing city. Now, if I didn't scare you away, what are you waiting for? Let's start your Charlotte adventure today.